All right, here we go. This is Tim again. Just did a little grass cutting in this area right here where I told you yesterday I was going to plant. So what I plan on doing is coming in here, and this is clover seeds, all different clovers. It's got crimson red clover, the purple top, or they like to call it red clover. I don't know why they call it red, because it's got a purple top. It's got the white clover in there, Ladino, some kale seeds I had. In this bag here, I got it pretty well layered, you can see. You got radishes, the deep radish here, which will go down and break the soil up. It'll put a long tuber in the ground. You got your pigeon peas or Australian peas, whatever you want to call them. Winter wheat, rye, and oats. And at the bottom, you got more turnips and rapeseed. So you get your winter wheat up here, your rye and oats are mixed in at the bottom. So we'll put it all in this bucket right here that you see on the back of the truck. There's the bag, there's the bucket. I'm gonna go ahead and broadcast it by hand. I've cut all down, I'm cutting down, the rest of that's gonna stay. And that I didn't show you yesterday, but there's a road. When I said the hay comes from next door, that's where the hay comes from, this field right there. That field right there. So they didn't do a last cut on it this year. He normally only cuts this one twice a year. So, and just to give you some idea on how tall that poplar tree is. You know, it's pretty good. It's been there for a while. She's an old girl. Okay, just take into consideration that. That's the maple tree right by the one pond. And these right here are my sycamore trees. I had 3 of them. One of them fell down a couple years ago in a bad windstorm. And let me see here. That's it on trees right here, the big ones. Of course, there's more sycamores right here on the property line. You know, these things are huge. All right. And I've just got some ornamental grasses down through there. That's a variegated type right there. I've got some switchgrass in there growing, and I've tried to put all kinds of, I want to put some native grasses in this area right here. I've got some Johnson grass growing here, which a lot of people don't really like. They think it's a weed. Well, that weed gives you a lot of biomass in your ground too if you cut it down before it goes to seed. So that's one thing I like. And all this right here is standing right now. I'm gonna leave it for the birds for the winter, and if the chickens want to get some, or the ducks, they can eat it. I'll cut some off every once in a while and throw it over into the goats. I mean, it is sweet. I mean, it's the same. It's a grain sorghum. I mean, the only difference between the grain sorghum and the cane sorghum, as I'll call it, you know, the sorghum that you can crush and make sorghum syrup out of, or molasses, or whatever you want to call it. There's a whole lot, not a whole lot of difference in it other than height and everything. I mean, you could probably use this right here if you wanted to, but this is just grown for the grain head. And what they'll do is they'll take this right here. A lot of people will take it just like you do corn and just grind it up into silage. And the sweet, you know, the sweetness of the stalk and everything, and the grain head, you grind it all up and you shoot it in those big tubes and just let it ferment. You know, dairy farmers will grow it. And let me see here, let me zoom in. The sun's in my eyes, so it's hard right now. That one right there with a couple leaves on it is another pawpaw tree. I've got 4 pawpaw trees. A lot of people don't even know what a pawpaw is. It's a small, like a custard type fruit. They say it has a taste of a banana. I've never had one, but I've had these trees growing for a couple years, and I'm trying to get them to pollinate, cross, you know, they're all the same species. They're not going to cross pollinate, but it takes more than one, you know, because they aren't self-pollinating. That's the word I was looking for. But I've got 4 of them, all different heights. I've got a couple volunteer chestnuts around here. I found one today. This is my chestnut tree right there. I've got 3 of those here, along with the 2 I planted on the swale over there. But I was cutting this grass today and found a volunteer chestnut tree right there. So as soon as it drops its leaves and everything, I'll go ahead and dig that up and put it somewhere. And this right here is a poor little volunteer walnut. And I found a couple of those. And my cherry trees up here a couple feet, about 20 feet up. I've got a bunch of little suckers off the roots of those that I'm gonna go ahead and transplant. So I've got some tree work to do. I'm running out of space on it for right now until I do some more cleaning up and getting rid of some of the older stuff. But you know, most everything I plant like that's for the birds. You know, everybody can go on that pun and say whatever they want. You know, it's for the birds. But there's a red stake right there. See if I can get my finger in the right place. I can hardly see the screen. Nope. Never mind, I'm too close. But that's the property line right there between me and my dad. So that's how far back I go. The ponds are actually on both of our property, the ones I was talking about yesterday. There's 2 ponds, actually 3 ponds. One's in the goat lot. It's just the runoff from the gutters that I have run to a little, you know, hole that's probably about a foot deep by about 10 feet across. And all that does is fill up with water and percolates back in the soil. So to catch all the runoff from the house and around the drain, perimeter drain of the house. I just didn't want it all running into a wet spot out in the yard somewhere, then you have to worry about that. So I ran it down over there years ago and put a little pond in there, and that's where it goes to. So, yep, we used to have a couple deer that hung around here, but just on the other side of those big pine trees right there, they forested about 60 to 80 acres. I don't know, I'd have to look at it again, but I could go on to Google Earth and map it out and see how many acres it is. But I think they pretty much ran them out of here for right now until that grows back up. They're not going to want to walk across that open area. That was a well forested area that they used to come through, and the only thing we had in here was does. I mean, they would come out in that corner right over there where those pines are, and they would walk around the edge of the field, and they would walk right down through here, this bottom right here, probably about where that red post is of mine. Between me and my dad, they would go down to the pond and get water and walk straight on over to the, keep on going to the property next door. I mean, it wasn't nothing to see them out here all kinds of the day. You could be on a lawnmower out here cutting grass and they would just look at you. Because, I mean, we're not going to bother them. You know, I mean, I like seeing them. I mean,